Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me on what's turning out to be kind of a rainy morning here in Michigan. Today, we are actually going to cover mobile agent. And basically, this class is all around the different apps that are going to help you work from anywhere. We're going to cover things like Kubacasa, how you can do a floor plan of your listing. We're going to cover the collaboration center, how your client can download an easy to use app, be in constant communication with you. You can see things that they favorite, going to give you some great enhancements on the agent side as well. And then we're going to talk about Paragon Connect, where you can do everything from go in and edit any field of your listing. You can go in and quickly set up searches for clients. You can see everything that your clients are receiving in their collaboration center. So we're going to go through that and a whole lot more. So I am lucky enough to also have my counterpart, Taylor Fidois, who is helping out with questions today. So if you do have any questions throughout the demonstration, you will find the question box in your GoToWebinar panel. All you have to do is expand that question box, simply type out your question, and Taylor behind the scenes will be answering you. If it's a great question or it's a question that more than one person maybe is asking, she'll also just jump right in and ask it. Taylor, are you there with us? Oop, she might be muted. All right, so feel free to jump in with any questions
Yes,
that you
I'm
may
here.
have.
Sorry,
Oh,
I
okay.
had to open up my panel.
I know it's always the most inopportune time that somebody asks you that,
Yep.
right?
Yep, I will be here watching questions, so don't be shy.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We had quite a large group register, so that certainly helps out. All right, so at this point, where we're going to start, and this is kind of a hard class to teach, I'll just tell you up front, because we're actually going to do most of these live in the app so that you can actually see them. So I just want to make sure. Taylor, are you able to see the Kubacasa floor plan PowerPoint in front of you? Oop. All right.
I am not yet.
Okay. Just want to make sure that you can see that. I'm using two monitors, so I just want to
Now
make
I
sure you
see
can
it.
see that.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, great. All right, so that's actually where we're going to get started. We're going to start off in Kubacasa today, but like I said, feel free to ask questions throughout the demonstration. Don't feel like you have to hold them all to the end. I know myself as an agent of 25 years, by the time I get to the end, I can't remember what I was going to ask in the first place. So if you're not familiar with the first app that we're going to cover, Kubacasa, it kind of makes sense when you think about the name. It's cubic, which is measurement, right? And casa, which is house. And that's really what it does. Kubacasa is a very easy to use floor plan. I think I've done it, I think I've done 14 floor plans now with Kubacasa. And it's an app that you literally can walk through your listing. It will not only measure your listing, but it can provide the square footage. There's some new enhancements that I'm excited to show you today. I like that it's easy, but it does some very unique things. So that's actually where we're going to start off today. So Kubacasa was actually founded by a company out of Norway. I not that long ago visited Norway. It's a beautiful place, but basically they saw a huge need for an easy to use floor plan that people could add to the MLS, whether it's in the photos or whether it's in the associated documents. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, where clients could literally go in and see what's the layout of the home. Because as we know, buyers are looking at photos. That's very, very important. If they get a listing with no photo, a lot of times they'll just go right on to the next listing. However, floor plans in Europe, about 90% of the listings have floor plans. Here in the US, it was less than 10%, and most of those were either new construction or rentals. So they really saw a demand to create an easy to use app so that agents could include those floor plans on all of their listings. And that's really the goal. As a matter of fact, there is an MLS out west that's requiring floor plans now for every single listing. So that clients, when they're looking, especially if they're looking out of state, they want to see, can I be in my kitchen and entertaining and, still communicating with my guests? And is it an open floor plan? And what room opens into what? Can't always tell that just by looking at the photos. So floor plans, of course, make your listing stand out. But what I liked about this is it also gives you the ability to add, as you can see here on this schematic, you can see that it's adding on things like the size of the deck, the size of the front porch, what are the bedroom measurements. These are all things that a buyer can look at. Recently, I was just helping a first-time home buying couple, and their biggest concern was their parents had given them a very large master bedroom set. And that primary bedroom was their main focus because they basically were asking the questions, okay, is our bedroom furniture going to fit in here? So at every primary suite that we looked at, that was the main concern was, is this huge 4-poster bed going to fit in here? So being able to see not only the layout of the floor plan, but what those room measurements are extremely important. So as we go through, you can also see it will show things like which way do the doors open, the affixed furniture, like where the bathtub sits in the bathroom. And of course, this is going to help you on the listing side to make your listing stand out. It's going to make sure that you're getting the buyers who are looking for that type of floor plan in. And it's also going to help reduce your market time. So is it easy and how long does it take? What do you need to know? Well, the good news is whether you're with one of our vendored MLSs and joining us today, or you're my Real Source member, you get Kubacasa at no cost, meaning there's no cost to download the app. There is no cost to sign up. There is no cost for your scans. You can do unlimited scans. The only time that there would be an upsell is if you have to go outside of 5,000 square feet. So if you've got a luxury listing, you're going at over 5,000 square feet, then there is an upcharge of, guess what, $11.25, which I think is very, very reasonable considering most floor plans start at $37. That's the minimum I've seen them starting off at. So and I'm going to talk a little bit about what you need to know when you're signing up, where you go. But they do have some other upsells, like they do tours. You can do these 3D rendering tours. They have where you can copy and paste everything directly into the MLS, but I'll show you more of that as we go along. The average scan takes between 5 and 7 minutes. And I got to tell you, all of mine have been right in that realm, probably about 5 to 6 minutes. What you're looking at here is kind of an Easter egg, if you will. The person who's pretending to be agent here is actually one of the co-founders of this app, which I thought was very interesting. The average scan, again, takes between 5 and 7 minutes. And as you can see here, you're literally opening the app. It's a very basic app. There are simply 2 things that appear on your screen, a record button and a camera button. The biggest thing to remember when you're using this free app is it is a continuous scan. And what that means is when you start scanning the home, there isn't a pause button or stopping. And I'm going to explain why. When you're doing your scan, it's actually allowing you to walk through the entire room. You don't want to keep going through the same room again, though. So you really kind of want to start at one point on the floor, and you want to then walk through each room. You want to have all your blinds open. I tell people, just like if you were going to have an open house, have your doors open, have your closet. If you have walk-in closets that you want to include, have those doors open. Let as much light into the home as possible. So have, your window coverings open, just like if you were going to prepare for an open house. And then you hit the record button. It's literally going to allow you to walk through that entire listing. And again, you're going to do a continuous scan. You can do the garage, you can do the basement. And the idea is once that scan is done, you're going to hit stop. It's then going to send that feed or that video, if you will, to Kubacasa. Kubacasa has a real life human, which makes it different than many of these other apps a real life human is going through and they're making sure nothing got missed and they're piecing together that scan. Now, I've gotten all mine back in less than 12 hours. They guarantee a 24-hour turnaround. If you need it quicker, if you need it in 6 hours, you can pay the $11.25 and even get it delivered quicker. But for me, it's perfect. If I'm going on a listing appointment at 6 o'clock at night, by the time I'm putting it into the MLS, let's say it's 6 in the morning, I have all of those room measurements back, my square footage back, all of that stuff so that I can enter that listing into the MLS. So what you're seeing right here is literally how easy it is. It's opening up the app. Matter of fact, you used to have to turn your phone in that landscape position. You no longer even have to do that. You can actually just use it as you would traditionally. You can walk through the listing. You're literally just hitting the record button and it's doing the rest for you. The reason that you don't have a pause button or you don't want to stop is they want to piece all of that together. So if you were constantly pausing and stopping and opening in another room, they wouldn't be able to do that for you. So the idea is by having that continuous scan going, they can see exactly room from room, making sure that they've got the whole layout sketched out for you. That's that nice element. I'm going to kind of pop through that next slide just to get into some of the main points here. One of the other big differences, as our staff at My Real Source beta tested many different floor plan scanning apps, and one of the big difference was outside area. For instance, as you see here, you can see that there's kind of a kidney-shaped pool in the backyard. So you can even do outside structures. So whether it's I've always wanted a she shed. So whether it's a she shed, or maybe you've got a storage shed, or you've got a pool, again, porches, patios, you can literally, on the main level of the home, I will start my scan. I will then walk out, whether it's a patio door or out onto the porch, and then simply follow the shape of the pool. When I did my home, I've got 2 large circular patios in the back. So I just literally walked and it actually rendered those right into the floor plan. So they can see patios, porches, how big they are. And they can also see things like the pool that you see here. Another element that Cuba Casa had that many of the others didn't was that you can easily measure curved walls. I thought this was really fascinating because if you've ever tried to measure curved walls, you know how difficult that can truly be. And many, especially in the luxury homes, you see a lot more curved hallways these days, those winding staircases, and those can be very hard to measure areas. I love that Cuba Casa makes that so easy. As a matter of fact, 25 years ago when I got my license, I remember holding that big old long tape measure. None of you on this call are probably old enough to remember that, but we had those big old long tape measures and we'd have the seller hold one end and we'd go to the other, and it took forever because of course you're talking the whole time trying to write these things down. Then of course we went to the laser measuring apps, which were never very accurate. If you sneezed, it was off 2 feet for your room. I mean, and you'd have to write down all the room names. Then of course we got a little more sophisticated. We went to our apps on our phone, but every time you would record something, you'd have to write down what room that was, right? So it still didn't work like we needed it to. Now you're literally hitting a record button and it's capturing all of that. It even goes as far as labeling the rooms for you. However, if you did want to change what that was labeled, let's say it labeled it kitchen and you wanted to label it butler's pantry, or maybe you wanted to, instead of suite, maybe you wanted to call it mother-in-law quarters, something like that. You can always go in and you can change the labels that it gives you. But I found that everything that they've put in has been pretty spot on. And so it just makes it that much easier for the agent. Okay, this was just funny, so I had to include it because real estate technology sometimes isn't that funny. But this is, believe it or not, a real Airbnb. I kid you not, it's a true Airbnb in the shape of a shoe. Why? I'm not sure. Maybe if you had a foot fetish or something like that, maybe that's where you would go on vacation. Not exactly sure. But this was a really good example of the entire structure was curved walls. So you had 3 levels of this structure. And literally, when they went in to do this Kuba Casa rendering, they just literally walked through each level. But you can see that it actually placed all of the windows in place. It's putting in which way the stairs are facing. This is also really great for appraisers. And as you probably know, appraisers are even being more challenged now by having to add more data than they ever have before. So being able to see things like ingresses and egresses, which way the doors and windows open, fixed furniture, that's becoming really, really important. And so we're going to talk about some of that too. So things to keep in mind is, again, Kuba Casa is a free app. There's no cost to download it. You can do unlimited scans. There's no hidden fees. The only thing is, if you're going to go over, and most of my listings have been, around 3,000 square feet, so I haven't gone over. But if you do have a luxury listing, it's obviously going to take a human a little bit longer to go through that particular scan. So in that case, you're looking at $11.25, which again, I think is very, very reasonable. And that would be anything, and even if it's 11,000 square feet, it doesn't matter. Anything over that 5,000 square feet would be $11.25. Some of the other things, besides being able to enter your own room names, if you didn't like what they selected for you, you can also add your own logos, and you can even change your color schemes. So a couple of the upsells, again, not trying to upsell you on everything, but some of these were really cool. If you needed a 6-hour turnaround, again, 25% off of what's shown here. So it works out to be $11.25 for that. If you are an appraiser and you need that GLA appraisal report, where it's basically sketched out on that grid type paper, and it's going to give you a lot more detail, like the ingresses and egresses, again, $11.25. And if you have over the 5,000 square feet, $11.25. They do have other things. They have bundled pricing for their 3D products. You can do a 3D video rendering, which actually uses AI to pick up things like granite countertops and bamboo or wood plank floors, and it will actually do that rendering. And so there are, of course, like in any product, there are those upsells. I've done a few of them, and I'm going to show you one of them that I really, really do like. But different marketing that you can provide for your floor plans as well. Talking about the appraiser report, that GLA type of report, that does give you the staircases, doorways, door walls, interior walls, ingresses, egresses, and again, it will give you that square footage for above and below ground. One of the other things that I really liked about this app is how by changing even the color scheme, you can quickly see just from looking at this that this is a 4-bedroom, 4-bath home, because the agent went ahead and actually color coordinated the baths and the bedrooms. So as they're quickly looking through the photos, it's not hard to determine, oh my gosh, yeah, this is 4 bedrooms. You can see that very easily from here. One thing I have found that I really like about this is, especially if you're including your basement in your scans, which I always do, by the way. If you have a partially finished basement, it is so nice, because a lot of times when we say partially finished, sometimes that can be interpreted differently, right? But when you can see that 90% of the basement is finished just by a quick glance, and we have that all color coordinated in one color, and then you have your unfinished basement area, which maybe was 10% in another color, it's very easy to see, oh, this is mostly finished. So I've used that a few times, and I think it's been very helpful. So at My Real Source, whether you're with our vendor MLSs or you're a My Real Source member, one of the things we've kind of always prided ourselves on is that we support everything in-house. As a matter of fact, most of the people that you're talking to have held a real estate license. When you're calling for support, they are not only familiar with one product, but how all the other products integrate into that product. And why that's so helpful is there are many MLSs out there that will just basically provide a support number or send you off to another MLS system. But sometimes your question might be, well, I want to take my properties from the MLS into cloud. How do I? So it might encompass more than one product. And so we here at My Real Source have really prided ourselves on our 7-day-a-week tech support, which is available from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. This is the only product we can handle general questions on, but this is the only product that we don't fully support because we can't see the actual footage on your phone. So that becomes a little bit harder. So we wanted to check out the support at Kubacasa. I've used it several times, I have to tell you, and it's been fantastic. It's an immediate chat response. I had a response within less than 15 seconds. They are 24/7, so they actually have offices around the globe. That's why no matter what time your scan gets done, a human somewhere can review it. I liked that they were very helpful. They knew right, because you can go in right through the app, they knew what MLS you were coming from, they knew who you were, and it just made it so much easier. So I thought their help was also outstanding, because a lot of times when it comes to tech support and technology companies, it's a rough go, but this actually was a nice, refreshing change. So how do you sign up for Kubacasa? So whether you are with one of our vendor MLSs or a My Real Source member, the sign up is going to be the same. You're simply going to go into Paragon. You're going to sign up under the resources section where you'll see Kubacasa. From there, once you set up your account, you can start scanning immediately. And here's a little tip. If you're like me, and I did not want to do my first scan standing in front of a seller, right? I was very nervous. So I wanted to do my house. So I did it doesn't have to be a listed property. It can be any, and you can do single family homes, you can do condos, you can do multi-family homes. So if you're kind of like me and you want to be the beta tester first, simply open all the windows in your home so you can see, open the drapes, open, your blinds, make sure you have all your doors open. So it's a nice, easy walk through your home. I tell people again, just pretend you were going to prepare for an open house. Just have everything ready, all of your lights on, and then hit your record button. You're going to start walking through your home and you'll get your scan done. Your first scan, I should mention, you get to add in all of the bells and whistles. So don't be afraid to check all those extras that you might want, because your first scan comes with the freebies, meaning that you can literally walk through, add in everything. They want you to see the quality. They want you to check it out. And of course, I think once you use a couple of the upsells, you'll be sold like I was. And I have to tell you, that's rare because I'm kind of cheap. And I really have tried many of these upsells and other products and have not been impressed. But this one I was impressed with. So again, how you're going to sign up, you're going to go into Paragon. You're going to find it right under the resources section. You're going to see Kubacasa floor plans. And then you're going to hit sign up and done. I'm going to push an email right out to your phone where you can immediately download the app. And from there, you only have to sign in one time. It's going to remember that for you, and it will easily take you in. I'm going to actually show you the app on my phone in just a minute, because I'm kind of a fan of, I like to see things on the actual app. It's great when you're looking at a PowerPoint, but show me what it's really going to look like in real life. So we'll do that too today. All right, so one last thing. When you are setting up your app, it's going to ask you a couple of questions, and it's going to ask you, are you an agent? Are you a photographer, a home inspector? In order to get all the discounts and all the free stuff that we just mentioned, you're going to want to pick that you are either an agent or an appraiser, okay? Because they get all the free bells and whistles through the My Real Source contract. So when it asks you who you are in the transaction, do make sure, even though you kind of think of yourself as a photographer, don't go that route, right? You want to make sure that you're selecting agent or appraiser when it comes to that screen. And it's that simple. It literally is now going to allow you to download the app, which just looks like that. And then you can go ahead and start scanning right away. So there's no delay time. You just got to scan and go. Once you finish your scan, you're going to hit the stop button. I'm going to show you that in just a second. They did add one more really cool thing that I want to show you. It's their new product launch, which is Kubacasa 3.0. This includes now being able to copy and paste the room measurements into Paragon. So instead of having to type them in manually, you can actually copy them all in, which I thought was very cool. It does give you the ability to simply do those snapshots, which you can do whether you do 3.0 or not. But it's very nice because I'm going to show you some cool things you can do with your snapshots. Snapshots are literally while you're doing your scan, if you come across an area of your listing that you're like, wow, this is the money shot. Maybe you're on the bridgeway and you're looking down into the living room and you're like, I don't have to come back up and take another picture. I'm just going to snap it while I'm here. Remember, I said it's a continuous scan, but it does allow you to take photos along the way with the snapshot feature. So I'm going to show you this really quick little video here. I'll kind of give you some good examples. All right, so hopefully that kind of makes sense. I was kind of a big fan of that. Before I actually show you the app, I want to jump into something that they just added to that I have been using and I love. It's called the interactive hotspots. And what that allows you to do is even if you've taken the photos with that snapshot, or whether you had, let's say, a photographer come in and professionally do your photos, don't forget if you did that, make sure you got the copyright form in the My Role Source library that you've provided to your photographer. But the important thing is with this new feature, I'm going to actually show it to you show you an example. I'm kind of an example person. I like to always kind of see it, like how is it really going to look? So I am going to show you this one. So this is an example of the new interactive hotspots. This allows you, the agent, to basically insert your photos so when they're looking at the floor plan, they can see the photos that you, or again, if your photographer is taking them, it allows you to upload them. Now, what I like about this, though, is you can actually move these interactive hotspots. So if, let's say, they give you, I think it's 26 hotspots. And as you can see, you can move them floor to floor. So let's say I'm on floor 2. But let's say I want to move that hotspot a little over to the left or a little over to the right, so it looks more like where it would fall in the home. You can actually do that. You can grab the hotspots and place them anywhere on the home. Now, the only thing I did find out about this, which I had to use their support really quick, is you can't move them outside yet. There is a goal for them to be able to accommodate that down the road. Right now, because they're brand new, you can only move the hotspots inside the home, so inside the structure. However, the future plan will be that you can even add exterior photos. But right now, you can again move those. So if let's say they're looking at your floor plan and they want to check out the sauna, they can literally click into that interactive hotspot, or they can just click the arrows and they can glide through them that way. So really, really easy to be able to place those hotspots in the right location. It's a simple upload of the photos. And then once you've uploaded them, you can move those hotspots to the exact spots you want. So I thought that was a great addition. And Taylor, I'm seeing the questions button a little bit. Did you want to pop in with any questions so far? Is there any questions we need to answer that I haven't answered yet? Nope. Okay. Well, let me know if we do have any questions we need to address. All right. So that basically is Kubacasa. I kind of want to bounce over real quick to the app because, as I mentioned, as an agent, I kind of like to see it myself. What's it going to look like? How is the app going to respond? And I personally think it's just a little bit easier when you can see the live app. So like I said, this is a very hard class to teach generally. And it's because I kind of like to see it exactly like it's going to work. So I'm going to jump over to my phone for a moment and show you a couple quick things there. All right. And that does mean bouncing back and forth, and it usually takes just a second and you'll be able to
Hey,
see
Colleen, it looks
my
like
phone
your
screen.
screen's not sharing. It's just showing a polar bear right now.
Oh, okay. So you should be able to see my screen in just a second. I'm going to switch over to my phone. As I mentioned, it does take 1 second to be able to switch from back and forth. All right, so you should be able to see my phone screen now, Taylor. Can you see that?
Yes.
That is the hardest part of teaching this class, I swear, is just bouncing back and forth, right?
Yeah, I'm just
All
kind of,
right.
I'll just keep on watching to make sure your screen is okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's always helpful. Yeah, it does take a couple seconds to connect sometimes. So, your first time-saving tip is as a mobile agent, you want to be able to do everything right from your phone these days. Whether it's creating a quick addendum, I was at my son's baseball game and literally just needed to cross something out and send an addendum for signatures. You can do that using the Transaction Desk app. There are so many great apps now allowing us agents to be able to do things from anywhere. So the first thing I would recommend is if you're like me and you don't like fumbling around, especially if you have a lockbox app or you're at a seller's home and you're getting ready to do Kubacasa, I'm gonna have to try to find my app. So your first tip is create a real estate folder where you can keep all of your real estate apps in one place, just making it that much easier. So for me, what we want to look at right now is Kubacasa. So when I signed up, it sent an email right to my phone. I then downloaded the Kubacasa app. And it was really that simple. So the no hidden extra things. If you do have your phone set where you do need to know your Apple password or something like that to be able to download apps, that you will want to have handy. But I have to tell you, it's really simple. It does walk you through that entire process. You certainly want to do that before you go on your listing appointment. But this is the entire app. As you can see, it's pretty user friendly. At the bottom, you have your home screen. You have everything that is completed that's been sent back to you is in your orders. To start a new scan, pretty self-explanatory. You're going to click that scan button and it's going to ask you, what are you trying to scan? Are you doing a single family home? Are you doing a townhouse? Are you doing an apartment building? Are you doing an other, which might be a multifamily? And the reason that they want to know that is because sometimes addresses, especially if you're in an apartment style condo building, there's a lot of addresses in one place. So I'm going to hit that I am doing a single family home and continue. From there, the really cool thing is it pulls in the address for you. So if I need to adjust that, maybe it's suite B or suite A, you can hit that little pencil and adjust the address. But the last step is really to just confirm and start your scan. It does give you some quick tips as you see here. As I mentioned, you want to have all the doors open. You want to have the window coverings and all the lights on because you want to do that little continuous scan. If, by the way, you start doing it and you move too fast, like if you're walking really at a quick clip, or maybe you're too close to a wall, it will even give you what I call my user-friendly instructions. It pops up on your screen, please slow down. So, I mean, you can't screw it up, I promise you. The biggest thing to remember is you want to stand about 2 feet away from the wall. You don't want to point at the floor. You do kind of want to angle almost if you're shooting for the baseboard, if you will. You do want to be about 2 feet out. You want to have your phone. You can actually do it in portrait mode. You don't have to do it in landscape anymore. And then you just want to hit your start button. If you are too close to the wall, it will let you know. But it's really that easy. Once you have done this a few times, you can even turn the tips off so you don't see them anymore, as you can see there. You're going to hit Let's Scan. It's that easy. I wish my office was a little cleaner today. But all you're going to do is you're going to hit that record button, and you're literally going to start going around your office. As you can see, that's my scan. I would literally, if you see I'm very close to the desk right now, you see how it's giving me that little direction that says, hey, you're a little too close. So all you'll want to do is continuously scan. Again, if you walk in closets like I do here, I would have had the door open. I would have my window coverings open, but you're going to walk through from one point. You're going to complete that whole level. Then you're maybe going to go down to your, if you have I'm in a colonial right now, so I would go down to my main level. And again, I have a porch or a patio. When I'm scanning my main level, I would simply open the door wall, walk out, and continue to scan in that area. So it's that simple. Again, if you want to use a hot shot, you've got the little camera button there, but that's it. Once you're done, you're going to hit that stop button, and it's going to say you're ready to finish your scan, which will allow you to send it off to Kubacasa. All right, so Taylor, you still seeing my screen there?
Yes, we are.
All right, terrific. So thanks for bearing with me while I kind of like to, like I said, show it live so you can actually see what the app looks like. Again, you would go from room to room and just continuously do that. When that human is reviewing it, they're going to put any, if you walk through a room twice, which you want to try to avoid, but they're going to be able to omit that. So they're certainly not going to add two of the exact same rooms on. That's why that human element really makes Kubacasa better, in my opinion, because an actual human is going through that scan, making sure it's perfect when it comes back to you. All right, so I am going to stop showing my phone screen now for a moment, and we are going to go back to monitor 2. All right, just kill this here so that you don't have to see my phone anymore. And the next thing that we're going to talk about is something also brand new, the new updated Collaboration Center. I am a huge fan of this. I think it's what we've needed. If you've not used the Collaboration Center before, what the Collaboration Center actually is it's a way to set up a saved search and basically have that saved search constantly be looking for new properties that are on the market that are going to meet your buyer's criteria. The Collaboration Center not only sends them immediately a new listing that has come up with their criteria, but it's going to kick it up a notch, and it's going to even let you see what they favorite. It's going to let you stay in communication with them. They can tag properties. They can even tell you when they'd like to see a property. But overall, what I really like the most is that it's very user-friendly. All right, so at this point, you should kind of be able to see the Collaboration Center. And Taylor, just because I kind of kicked back to this screen, can you see the Collaboration Center okay?
Yes, looks good.
All right. Thanks again for all your help. As I mentioned, it's kind of hard bouncing back and forth. But this is the Collaboration Center. So when a new property that meets your client's criteria hits the market, they get those immediate notifications. They can go right into that property. They can, of course, see all of the details, everything coming over from the MLS. But what I like about this is they can also see the gallery style phones. Right, they can do this right on their phone. They can see these gallery style views of the pictures of the home. Of course, we use high resolution photos. So as they're scrolling through on their phone, it just makes it that much easier to see all of the details. Now, what's really nice is not only can you include those photos, but again, if you're using Kubacasa, their floor plan can be right here as well. So they're literally scanning through. They can see all of the photos. They can see all of the details. And let's say they want to check out the neighborhood. They can actually click on that street view. They can literally see the home to the left. It uses Google Maps, so nothing crazy here, but it allows them to see the home. It'll allow them to walk down the street and check out the entire neighborhood right from where they are. They don't have to go look it up somewhere else. They can also see the map view from here. They can easily share this with others. Maybe they want to send it on to family. They can share it via email. They can even share it on Facebook if they want to send it to someone's messenger. I also like that they can share multiple properties at one time. My favorite features are that they can favorite a property and it immediately goes to you, the agent. So if this client really likes Beth Ann Drive, they hit favorite and I immediately get the notification. So here's what was happening to me, and then it got even better. So what was happening is they would favorite a property, and then of course I would pick up the phone and I would call Mr. Fumagalli and I'd say, Mr. Fumagalli, when would you like to see this property? And you know what happens? He says, I got to call Mrs. Fumagalli. We'll get back to you. Well, of course, by the time they call you back, the property is now pending, right? Kind of frustrating. So what they can do is they can actually favorite a property. And now right down here where it says request a showing, they can even tell you the time and date that they want to see the property. Now, this does not schedule an appointment immediately. It just lets you, the agent, know so you don't always have to pick up the phone and call them every single time. So it does not schedule it in showing time or anything like that. It just gives you, the agent, the heads up of the time that they'd like to see this property. It does some very cool things on the agent side too. So they can, of course, ask questions under leave a comment. So if they do have a question, they can ask you directly. But here's another thing I like about this. When so many times the buyers think that all the information is on Zillow, right? And they, unfortunately, buyers really have grown to think that Zillow is the end all. But we see it all too often as agents where they're calling you and they're, Colleen, why didn't you send me 123 Main Street? And I found it on Zillow. And we go in and we realize that 123 Main Street closed 40 days ago, but it's still showing up active on Zillow. Frustrating, right? That doesn't happen with the Collaboration Center because this is the actual live MLS database. So within just a few seconds of someone marking something pending or closed, they can see that. So you don't have that outdated information to start off with. Secondly, I think we're all looking for ways to give our clients even more information than they can find on Zillow or Realtor.com or some of these other sites. What if I told you they could even see the seller's disclosure and lead-based paint disclosure documents? They can see things like surveys and perk tests. And if the agent has attached those in the MLS under additional documents, your clients, when they're viewing this home, they can see the seller's disclosure. So instead of you always having to send it out, they now can see it right in the Collaboration Center. So you're able to provide your clients more information than they can get on these other sites. And that's the way it should be, right? So now if they just simply scroll down to documents, they can see a lot of that information. What I loved is the other day, I had a client who said, I really, really like this. And I said, tell me why. And they said, because the bylaws and the rules and regs for the condos you're showing us are here. And we can actually see, yes, we can have 2 dogs here, or no, we can't. And I thought that was a great example. So, when the agents are adding things like those bylaws and rules and regs, and the client can see that up front, it actually does 2 things for us, right? It's helping educate the client on that condo. It's also keeping us from having to call and say, hey, I just want to make sure they are able to have 2 dogs here, right? And thirdly, when they're reviewing that, remember, most of the times they have to receive the disclosures within 5 or 7 days, the bylaws and the rules and regs. All of that is being communicated directly to the client, so there's no delay. So I'm a huge fan of that as well. Down here, of course, they can see the property history. If they want to make sure their payment stays within $1,500, let's say, and they kind of want to see, okay, what would this cost us with taxes and insurance? They can adjust the term and the interest rate. Boy, I sure wish it was 4% interest rates, but moving on. So you can go through and you can actually see all of that detail. You can see information about the community. You can see walk scores. And the idea is to give all of this great information in one spot. So the Collaboration Center does even more. They can flag things, and this kind of works like their own custom way to be connected with you. They can reject things. They can add them to a possible folder. They can ask questions from here. But I also like that they've added these new tags. So I just created a tag for acreage. Maybe your clients are comparing a few different properties and they're really mostly interested in 4-car garages, but they're hard to find. So they create a tag for 4-car garages. And when they're comparing properties, they can see, let's look at that one, the ones that had the 4-car garages again. They can actually filter out by using tags. And they get to select those tags. So it makes them easier. Maybe they want to keep track of how many homes had pools. So it allows them to tag and then filter on those tags too. Another thing I liked in the new Collaboration Center is, let's say that your clients, I'm just going to grab a couple of these for now. They are looking at these 3 properties and they kind of want to compare them. They want to stack them up next to each other. Which one had more square footage? Which one had a larger lot? They can actually go up here to where it says compare. And they can literally stack those properties next to each other and compare them side by side. And so I like that, maybe they're looking at acreage, or maybe they're looking at, if this one was built in 90, it's going to need a lot less renovating than the one that was built in 1935 or 1978, as you see here. So they can kind of stack them up next to each other and compare them. If they wanted to, let's say, maybe they wanted to send these over to some family members. As I mentioned, you can do that on a single basis for a single property. But maybe I also want to send these 3 over via text to a partner or a spouse or husband or wife. They can actually share, but they can also share in the Collaboration Center. They can both be listed there. They can both receive the notifications. They can create custom folders in there. They can share notes in there. So it really allows them not only to collaborate with you, but they can get the notifications together and they can see those properties coming on the market. So whether it's a husband and wife or spouses or investors, or it allows them to see those same notifications coming in. Of course, you can copy and send the link, or again, even send it. Maybe you want to post it out on Facebook to somebody's messenger so they can see the home. You can do that as well. So easy to review. I think this is one of those things that's very intuitive, but they can also set up their own property searches. They're used to, let's face it, they're used to now going in with their finger, circling out the areas they want to live in. They can still do that here. What I liked about this on the agent side, though, is because I'm setting up the initial search. So I'm putting in, they're looking for a 3-car attached garage. They want something built after 1990. They're looking in this particular area. So I'm creating their original search. However, let's say that they go in, and because we have such a low inventory market right now, let's say that they go in and they start saying, you know what, I think we're going to have to increase our price. Or maybe they add additional areas. It alerts you, the agent, that they've made a change to the original search that you set up for them. So the Collaboration Center does so much, but it still allows you, the agent, to see exactly what they're liking, and immediately you can schedule showings. That's kind of my favorite part on the agent side. Now, if you're kind of feeling like, whoa, this is a lot of information, don't worry. We have individual classes on each one of these products. So I'm kind of giving you all the highlights, if you will, on being a mobile agent and what you want to have downloaded on your phone. But if you are looking for a complete class just on the Collaboration Center, we have that. And in that class, we call it Collaboration, the new Collaboration Center. It's kind of an A to Z class. We not only show you what your clients are going to see and experience, but we show you how to set up those saved searches, how to add in all the features and the fields that they're looking for. And then we show you step by step how to go in and turn the Collaboration Center on for your clients. That way they never miss a new property that just hit the market. So
Hey,
I like the way this, yeah.
There was a question. I know that you dive deeper in that into the class, but just where they go to access the Collaboration Center to invite their clients if they wanted to. Would you be able to show that again? If I think they might have missed it, or if I don't know how deeply you went into that.
Nope. Actually, you could not have asked that question at a more perfect time. So if I could have paid you to ask that question right now, would have been the time. Okay. Because as we said, that this is really easy on the client. Well, what does it look like? Where does the agent go to access it? So that's a great question. So let's actually go there right now. I'm telling you, perfect timing. So on the agent side, what I love is it's really easy to see exactly what your clients are favoriting. You can do this in your Paragon Connect app too. So you can do this on your phone. I'm actually going to show you that next, but I want to take you into just what you see as the agent overall first. What I like is that in the new collaboration center, when you're setting them up, let's say they downloaded the collaboration center and they started using it, and then they met you, they're now a great agent, and you want to be connected directly to them. There's actually an activation code that you can provide them, which connects them with you. So you're seeing all of their information. If you just set them up, like we're going to kind of look at really quick here, they're also just in their welcome email, they're given that activation code right away. So they're connected with you. And that's really the idea, is to be able to collaborate and see what they're seeing. On the agent side, let me show you how easy it is to figure out, are they using it? Are they getting properties? Have they logged in? On the agent side, you're simply going to go to contacts. So I am in Paragon. I'm going to go to my contacts area, and I'm just going to go to view or manage contacts. Now, again, in the class, we'll show you how to set it up step A to Z, but there's quite a few things I just want to show you kind of when turning it on for your clients, what you're going to be able to see and some of the magic you're going to be able to do on the agent side. At least I thought it was magic. It was saving me about 25 minutes in scheduling appointments, so this was great. So the first thing is I can see the date I added the client to the collaboration center. So the date added here is when I put them in. When was the last time that they logged in? When did the client actually go in and review a house? I can see Bob, my real life client here, went into the collaboration center last on the 25th. He got his last notification on the 25th. So I see he's actively using it. He's logging in and checking it out. I can see immediately what he has marked as favorite. And there's some other cool pieces. I don't want to get too far into the weeds because we still got to go into Paragon Connect. But I had a client, I kid you not, she was just one of the nicest people. We closed up her home. We're sitting at the closing table, and she said, you know what, my sister is getting ready to start looking for her home. She's going through a divorce. I'm going to give her your contact information. And this client was one of those people that just becomes your friend through the transaction, just the nicest, sweetest lady. So I kind of assumed her sister would be the same. No, she was literally the polar opposite of this woman. Her second call went something like this to me: Colleen, if you send me one more yellow-sided home, I'm going to fire you and get another agent. Well, first of all, I don't believe she ever mentioned she didn't like yellow siding. Second of all, there is no button in the MLS that says remove all yellow-sided homes, if you know what I mean. So for this client, I could tell she was going to be a little bit more she was going to have very specific needs we were going to have to review. So I set it up to do an agent approval. And that's kind of what you see here, this green button. It first sends it to you, the agent. So you set up the search the same way. You're automating the search. So normally when anytime a new listing hits the market that meets what they're looking for, it just automatically delivers it to your buyer so that they see it right away. However, you can, if you have a client who doesn't like yellow siding, you can do an agent preview, which literally sends it to you, the agent, first. So in this case, with this particular client, I'm able to click on that number 3. I'm able to review, I'm obviously open each one of these, and I can say, oh, that has yellow siding, don't send that one. And I can say, but these two I want to approve, and let's have those go right to the client. Again, they're going to see them in that user-friendly collab center that I already showed you, but this allows me to see it first, which I like, especially if you have a client who doesn't like yellow siding. That's very important. You can also, because many times we, the agents, know more what they're going to end up buying than they do, right? And a good case in point, I had a couple that were looking, and I think they must have said it 50 times. We are only going to buy in St. Clair Shores. Don't show us anything out of the city of St. Clair Shores. We are going to live in St. Clair Shores. So you know what happened. They ended up buying 4 streets outside of St. Clair Shores. So in their automated search, they were only getting things in St. Clair Shores. But a good friend of mine, Dawn Waldrop, listed a house 4 streets outside of St. Clair Shores. She was describing it when we went to breakfast. I knew immediately this was their house. Sure enough, I saw the pictures that she had just taken. I said that was their house. We walked in. Right away, the bells and whistles went off. We wrote it at the kitchen table, and we literally closed it 30 days later. So that's what they call an agent recommended, where you, the agent, even if it's not in their automated search, you can click on the agent recommended and it will pop that home up in front of them, even if it isn't something that didn't come up automatically in what you saved for them. You can still recommend properties. And when we have such a low amount of inventory right now, that becomes very helpful because sometimes they think they're going to buy this, but they end up buying this, right? Because due to the lack of inventory, they can't find exactly what they're looking for. So it's ways that not only can you automate the process and make it easy, but you still have more control as the agent. So if you need to kind of have a workaround, these are already built in there for you. I can also see my client's collab center by where it says view right here. I can immediately see it just like they see it. So if I want to see everything that's been sent to my client Thor here, we can literally click on it and I can go right in and see all his new matches just like he can. So if I click on that 17, I'm seeing the exact way that he's seeing his site. So I like that as well. All right. Some of the other things on the client side, when Thor goes in, he can, again, he's going to use this as his mobile app. I like that it will show him all of his matches. I like that it makes it really easy. He can see things that have had price changes. He can see coming open houses. He can use it to find information on a particular property. And again, he can do all of that right from downloading the Collab Center app. The Collab Center, whether you can get it from the App Store, you can get it from the Google Play Store, easy for them to download. And again, even if they downloaded it, let's say they were working with a previous agent a year ago. Now they really want to work with you. They've met you. Don't have a contract with that agent. They aren't working with them anymore. They really want to use you to find their new home. You can provide that activation code to them after the fact. So every client that you set up has the ability to have that automatically sent with their welcome. But let's say, again, you meet them a year later, they're now no longer working with that agent, and now they want to work with you. You can give them that app code. You simply click on it, provides an app code, and now they can be connected to you. So now, of course, if they're going to be a buyer working with you, you're going to sign that buyer representation agreement, right, before we're showing them homes, because that, according to the NAR settlement and MLS practice changes, that's our policy. So at this point, you're going to go in, you're going to start working with them, you're going to give them that app code, sign that buyer representation agreement, and let's get out and look at some houses. Okay, so hopefully that kind of answered it. Again, there's so much that you can do in the Collab Center. So I'm just kind of touching on some of the hot spots, if you will. In the actual class, we'll go through setting up the search and how you can simply turn it on. But I want to show you a couple more things here too. Under that content, once you create that client, as I mentioned, you can put in, if it's a husband and wife or a partner or their spouses, you can put in secondary information that can be also notified anytime a new property meets their criteria. You can, again, turn it on to be an agent preview where it simply goes to you, the agent, first. If you like it, then it goes on to your client. You can even create, now, I don't want to get you too excited here because it's not really a full-on drip campaign CMA type of thing, but it does even give you some basically a CMA to kind of see where your clients and leads are coming from. So for instance, my son goes to school over here at a little private school, and I do a lot of the fundraiser stuff and, the water bottles and all the track things with your name and number. So make sure when a client comes in from there, I track that. Is my return on investment, is it worth it, right? So I created Jake's School SOI, my SOI or leads that are coming in from that. So you can actually create custom groups here for maybe you have, maybe you belong to Habitat for Humanity and you paint homes with a group of people. Maybe it's your church, maybe it's your kid's school. If you want to track where those leads are coming in, whether it's a buyer lead or a seller lead, you can track all of that. The reason I like to track it here is when you're getting ready to mail out your, let's say your magnet calendars, or you're getting ready to send out your Christmas cards, you can actually create labels right from here. And you've got all those categories to know where they came in from. All right, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit further. Of course, you can put in all of the details of where you met this buyer and even buyer contact information down below. You can and save this for just a second. You can also go in to the buyer activity and you can add additional searches. So if that particular buyer, let's say, was looking for a single family home, but he's also looking for maybe some property, vacant property up north, he's going to eventually put something up there as well, or maybe he hunts up there and he wants to add a home in the future. So you can go in and add additional searches. As I mentioned, you can also go in and do agent recommended. So even if it didn't fall in his exact search, you could still recommend a particular property. And another thing that they've added that I really like is, let's say Taylor is not only helping Bob find his new home, but she's got his home listed too. If anybody remembers the old listing book way back in the day, what it really was designed to do is, if you had a property listed, it was designed to show your seller. They basically got a little report, and it said if anybody new came into their marketplace, meaning any new listing that they were going to compete with, they could see all the details on that. If someone, an active listing in their neighborhood, reduced their price, they could see that. This does that same thing. You can actually click on seller activity and associate their listed property, and that would then allow them to see anything new that was coming on the market, any price reductions, if a property had closed, what they received for it. So it basically let them watch their marketplace. And again, that's only if you have that property listed. And then lastly, I seem to always get those kind of challenging buyers, as I mentioned, with the yellow siding and things like that. But it also allows you to see the history of everything that was sent out. So recently I had a client that said, Colleen, you know what? We got a home with black shutters last week from you. And you know what? We marked it rejected. Didn't think we'd want to see it. We said, you know what? That's not one we want to see. But we drove by it and now we think we really would like to see it. How many times do we hear that, right? You also have a history of everything that got sent out. So you can go back into that history. You can even adjust the date range to find that specific home that went out to them. I recently had a client at my own brokerage, and she was talking to her agent, and she said, you didn't ever send me this one. And the agent said, it should have come up in the search. We were able to go right back in the history. And she's like, oh yeah, I guess I did get that one and I didn't pay attention. So you can always go back into the history of messages to see what was sent to the client too. And basically that is the Collaboration Center. Now, of course, you're probably wondering, okay, well, how do I go in and set all that up? That, because you do want to go into all the search information that we teach you in the Collab Center. One thing I did forget to mention when we started this class is I'm recording this class. So if you miss anything, or let's say, for instance, you don't set somebody up in the Collab Center for a couple of weeks and now you're like, what did that lady with the fuzzy hair say? Where do I go? You can always see this exact class. So let me show you where to go to find that after today. It usually takes me about 24 hours to get them uploaded, so don't go right after class. It won't be there yet, but give me about 24 hours. And then where you find all of our class recordings are under resources. Resources, we're trying to get you to think of that as the agent toolbox, right? That's where all your great tools are. If you're seeing mine and you're coming in from one of our vendored MLSs and you don't see something there, in your resources, don't worry. Every MLS offers different products and different services. So if there's something there that you see that you're like, I wish we offered that, just reach out to your MLS or your board, and they will let you know if they provide it, and or if they don't, they can let you know if they can. So where we're going to go right now is under education. So of course, we have recorded this class, so you'll find that under recorded webinars. And I have to give all the credit to Taylor on this, because what she did is she set up this great YouTube channel where you can now just select videos and it will show you all of our classes. So it will not only have the class, but it will have today's date underneath it. Let's say you wanted to know more about public records and tax information and researching a property. Lisa Harris, who's an awesome instructor, she teaches a great public records class. There's everything from transaction desk to that Paragon Collab Center class, MLS time-saving tips. Kayla and I teach a bunch of classes together. We teach tools for tackling low inventory. We also have a great listing A to Z class where we show you how to prepare for a listing, how to go get the listing, and then how to market the listing. And Taylor's got some great social media tips she teaches in that class too. So all great things. But again, if you missed any part of today's class, or you just had a question and needed to go back, you again can find that in Paragon under resources, and you'll find that under the recorded webinar section. If you're looking for more upcoming classes like this one, that's when you can go to the education corner. I'm going to be updating this in the next probably day or two as well. But this shows you all of our class lists. So if you want to register for, let's say, the March 26th Collaboration Center class we have coming up, you can simply click on the register button and it will register you just like you did for this class with GoToWebinar. And we have tons of classes in here. Taylor teaches an awesome photography class. It's a 3-part class. I'm a little embarrassed to say I thought I took pretty good photos until I took her class. She actually has an intro class where she shows you some great photography techniques and tips to make your shots better. In part 2, she shows you some advanced stuff, like whenever I would take a hallway, it always looked kind of short and dumpy, and I couldn't figure out how to elongate that shot. She showed me how to control my shutter speed, how to add more light and aperture to the shot to really elongate that hallway. She also showed me how to take better pictures of those teeny tiny powder rooms, you know, where you either appear in the mirror or you get the toilet front and center. Like, we all don't know it has a toilet. Yeah. She actually shows her, I call it her patented shot because I see it in the MLS quite a bit now, where she shows you how to angle off the counter into the mirror to get the light in the entire room. So it's a great class. Once you complete her 1 and 2, she invites you out to what I'm excited about, which is coming up, her photo field trip. This is where she takes you to a beautiful, fully furnished model. She sets you up in those hard to photograph areas, and then she actually helps critiques your shots that you've taken so they're even better. So it's a really cool. All of our classes here at My Real Source are free for My Real Source members, but this is where you can find them all and learn a little bit more about each one of our products and services. Okay, all right. So now let's get into the next product, and that is going to be the Paragon Connect. So there's been a little bit of confusion, so I kind of want to clear that up first. The client-facing app, where they're going in, that I just showed you, the Collaboration Center, that's the client-facing app. So they can download that. Of course, you can see it just like they're seeing it, but they can also use that Collaboration Center app when they are standing in front of a listing. They can click the Near Me button and they can get all of the details for the property that they're standing in front of. So it gives them full mobile capability. They can go in and set up their own searches, as I mentioned, with their fingertip. They can save criteria. They can edit the search that you set up for them. So it's really the client's app. So you want to make sure that all of your clients are getting set up with the Paragon Collaboration Center. But on the agent side, you want to be able to do so much more than your clients. You want to be able to go in and put it, well, you could put a full new listing in on your phone. I'm going to be totally honest. I'm not going to go that direction. If I would go in and edit my listing from there, but I certainly do not want to have to start from scratch and try to do that all in my phone. But I'm a huge fan of where this app is going. Now, and let me kind of give you a quick background story. So many of us previously used the HomeSnap app. I was a huge fan of HomeSnap. You could walk property lines in real time. You could just do so much. You could only edit 3 fields on your listings, though. You could edit the price, the comments, and the status. That was it. So it was kind of limited in that. It was a great app. Many Paragon users were using that app. Then homes.com came along, and they basically bought that app and they put it out of business in favor of what they're coming out with. And we looked at that. It really, I thought it needed a lot of work. There were still a few holes in it, in my opinion. And so because many people were using the HomeSnap app, a lot of the Paragon development was done in HomeSnap. And then, unfortunately, with the merger and it going out of business, they had to shift to adding a lot of that functionality in the Paragon Connect app. So long story short, what I'm getting to is now Paragon Connect has even more functionality than HomeSnap did. And again, I was a big HomeSnap fan, but I think you're going to see some true improvements. When they first released it, when HomeSnap went out of business, it didn't have all of the bells and whistles. So if you haven't looked at it recently, now's your time to take another look at it, because as an agent, we need to be able to do all of these things on our phones from wherever we are. So I'm just going to pause my screen really quick here, and I'm going to connect so you can actually see it through the live app. So as I mentioned, it does take a second. As a matter of fact, if we have any questions, Taylor, this might be a great time to fire those off while I switch over. Any questions?
Just a question about the photography class. Paula was just asking if the cell phones are considered for the class. And yes, as long as you have the wide angle capability on your smartphone, then that is one that you can use. You don't need to have a camera for the first 2 classes. You can just come and learn about equipment and learn how it all works and some tips and everything. The field trip, though, however, is the 3rd class. That's the one that will require a DSLR camera or a wide angle smartphone.
Awesome. Well, that was perfect timing. All right, I am almost connected. Give me 2 seconds, and 2 seconds, and I will switch over so you should be able to see my phone. Always good when you can see what we're talking about. We didn't have any other, that was the only question we had?
Yeah, sorry.
Either I've put them to sleep
Ask your questions now while Colleen gets her phone hooked up.
It's always that 10-second delay, but yeah. Now
I did add the education calendar or corner into the chat, everybody, too. So if you do want to take the full Collaboration Center class that Colleen mentioned, that link to all of our classes is in the chat. So go ahead and open that up. So for those who kind of want to learn it a little bit more, or any of the other classes, this is going to be the same link for the current classes, but like Colleen mentioned, she's going to be adding more classes to it, so it'll still be the same link regardless.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you again for doing all of the questions today, because that makes it so much easier when I can just focus on, especially as you can see, flipping back and forth, it's not the easiest. All right. And I see me. Okay. Can you tell me if you see the phone screen now?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so let's go into Paragon Connect. Again, so your clients, just because I think that's where some people get a little bit nervous, like, well, do I download the Collab Center app? Does the client download the Collab Center app? The Collab Center, which I just showed you, which has all of those great capabilities to allow clients to immediately get the notifications on their phone. They immediately get notified, which in this market is really important. And so the Collab Center, when you think of it, that's really client facing. That's where you can give them that activation code. That's all going to be on the client client side where they can set up their searches, they can find out about the property information. But I don't want to have two apps as an agent, right? I want to see everything through my agent app. I want to be able to see my listings, edit my listings, see my clients. What are my clients looking at? What did they favorite? And so that's where Paragon's Paragon Connect, where you're connecting your listings, your agents, your clients, that's where it all comes into play. So this is the Paragon Connect app. Again, you can download it if you haven't already. You can download it at the App Store or the Google Play Store. Doesn't matter what type of phone you have. On the Collaboration Center side, it doesn't matter either. If you call and say you have a flip phone, that will matter. But as long as you have a smart device, you're going to be fine. So I'm going to go up to the top and just kind of give you and again, there's a whole class just on this app, but I'm going to give you all the things you're going to want to know right away. One, you can easily see contact information. So if you set a contact up in Paragon, you're going to be able to see that here. Remember, this is going to be your way to access everything you can see in Paragon, but just from your phone. As I mentioned, listings, you can go in, you'll see published and unpublished. Unpublished just means it's a partial listing. Maybe you started adding in a new listing, and you can start adding in from the tax autofill. You could start adding it in manually. Now, would I do a whole listing this way? No, but what a great way to be able to edit any of the fields on your listing. So maybe you just got your virtual tour back and you want to go ahead and add that in. Maybe you wanted to change your price. You can add that in. You can even add photos right from your phone, making it even easier to, if you've taken, kind of just going back to what Taylor just mentioned, took a great class, maybe you used your iPhone to shoot some of the photos, you can even pull those in. There's some great photo editing. I think the photo editing tools in Paragon Connect are actually better than you find in the traditional version of Paragon. So much that you can do here. And as you see, it's pretty user-friendly. You're literally navigating the app by what we call the hamburger stack at the top left. When your client, let's say you're showing clients around and the client says, you know, what about that house? You can simply click the Near Me button up at the top, and it's going to pull you in right to that specific listing that maybe you're sitting in front of. I happen to be at my home right now, so I can go right in. It's going to take me right to my particular home. I can click in to a listed or closed property, and I can see all of the details for that property. Again, I can share this out with others. Maybe I want to share this to my client right away. I want to just text it out to him. Maybe another client popped in my mind. I want to email it out to him. So very easy to share it either Facebook, Twitter, if it's your particular listing, or if you want to share it on with someone else, you can send it via text or via email. Again, back to that same concept, very user-friendly. It's going to give you all the details right here. And of course, as an agent, you're going to be able to see those agent details too. Again, I mentioned if the agent has taken the time to add those bylaws or those rules and regs, I can see the seller's disclosure and the lead-based paint disclosure right from here. And if I want to jump to that next property, as you can see, there was a couple in my neighborhood, I can go ahead and hit next. Of course, you can also create driving directions in here. If it's your listing, you can go ahead and click Edit My Listing. You can edit your photos. You can manage contacts that you've assigned in this particular listing. So the idea is it's a very user-friendly app. Of course, you've got that little yellow Google man right here. You can drop him onto in front of a particular listing. I can see again the home to the left, home to the right. Happened to be garbage day on this particular one, so probably not the best example. But I can go ahead and literally do all of this from one app. Before we were having to use so many different apps to do things, and it was not helpful. All right. So
where do you do the What's Near Me button? Is there a button in the search, or what's the best way for them to see right where they are? Their geolocation?
That's a great question. Let me go back to where we started. So it's in a couple different places. They try to make it really easy for you to use it. So as soon as you open up the app, there is a place that you could add the listing address if you wanted to. So let's say you're not near it, and your buyer just said, well, what about 123 Main Street? We just passed by it on our way here. You could type in 123 Main Street on, and let me show you on my pointer. I forget I'm pointing at my phone, like you can see it that way, right? This is why this class is a little harder. But if you go right here into this field, that's where you could type in the address. But the button I'm referring to, which I pointed to and you could not see, is right here. This little near me kind of looks like a little arrow that's pointing on a map maybe. That is the near me button. So again, if I want to be brought right to where I am, I can click that near me. It's going to ask you to allow it because obviously it has to use your phone's location. And this is where I can see those listings that are near me. So if I want to see this listing, I'm going to click on that little dot. And it's going to show me this is an active listing. It's 365,000, 2 bedrooms, 32 days on the market. Again, if I want to share this out to someone, I've got that little share button. Let me show you on here. Got that little share button right here. And I can go through and see everything. Again, here's what I like about this, and this just happens to be in my neighborhood. I grabbed a good example. The master deed is here. The bylaws are here. The building specs are here. It happens to be new construction, as you can see. So the association information is here, how much it's going to cost, as part of that association. And so all of that is associated right to the listing. It just makes it so much simpler. If I want to jump to the next listing, I can hit next, and it will take me there. So again, I'm going to kind of just go over the highlights. There's a whole class just designed for this app, but I think you can see that it's very user-friendly. Another thing that I wanted to show you is under resources. I told you that is your great tools, right? That's where you can find great products like Showing Time, like Realist, like Cloud CMA, like Kubacasa, all of those things. Just like in your resources section, you can see those here too. If I scroll down, remember I told you can see this class. Let's say, you're waiting at the dentist and you're like, you know what, I just want to kind of see that one more time. You can go right even into that education area and see those recorded webinars that I told you, this class, which we're recording. And that's also where you can sign up for more upcoming online classes. So much that you can do in the Paragon Connect system. But think of it this way. The Collab Center, just as a kind of a refresher, Collab Center is for your clients. It's where you're going to collaborate, but we want something super easy for them. For us being connected, Paragon Connect is going to connect you not only to your listings, but to your clients. As a matter of fact, when we logged in, go back there for just a moment, you could see the client that we set up in the Collab Center. Remember how I said it was Bob? Bob was a client. We set him up in the Collab Center. If I want to see searches or I want to see listings that he saved, I can see that. I can, again, see anything on my own listings by going to the hamburger stack, selecting listings. I could see my partial listings. I could add a new listing. I could see a listing that's in the MLS right now. If I want to add a brand new listing, or let's say I just want to edit a listing that I already have. The big difference here is you now can edit any of the fields of your listing. So now this has really become my new go-to app, because even when we had HomeSnap, which again, I was a big fan of, we could only edit 3 specific fields on our listings. Now we can change anything, and we can do it from wherever we are. All right, any other questions, Taylor, that are popping in?
Let me check. Nope, the last one was the near me button. So
okay, perfect. All right, so and I mentioned they try to add it in on many of the screens because that's something that's wildly popular, right? So as I mentioned, I showed you when we first opened the app, it's right up at the top. It's also on this your search. So where I am now is I click that hamburger stack again. I'm going to go to properties, and this is how you're searching properties. Of course, I can hit that near me. I can see a hot sheet, which is great. Price changes, new listings, things have changed status. I can see upcoming tours and open houses, but I can also go in and start a search. So maybe I am searching for my single family home. Maybe I'm searching for 3 bedrooms. Maybe I'm searching for a particular address. Again, I'd probably do that right in the power search there. Maybe I'm searching for a particular price, but this is where you're really just going in and creating your search criteria. Of course, you can save it from here. You can search from here. There's a little save button right here at the top. So not only is it easy to immediately find the property you're standing in front of, you can see that it's very user-friendly in the fact that everything is pretty much navigated right at the top here. You've got your near me. If you're in a hurry, you want to get to one specific listing maybe that you're standing in front of. If I click on any of the listings, you can see very easy to scroll through and get all of the details. I can see associated documents, like in this case. I can see the property history, mortgage payment calculator. So I can see all of this right through the app. So hopefully you've gotten a bird's eye view, and there's even more. Transaction Desk has an app. We show you a little bit of that in the Transaction Desk class. But there's so much now that we can do right on our phones. So hopefully in this class, you've got a good look at Kubacasa and how to easily create a floor plan for your next listing. You've got a bird's eye view of making it easy for the client in the collaboration center so that they can search and favorite homes. One last thing I want to leave off with that I meant to show you a couple of moments earlier. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop out of here for just a moment. One last thing I want to show you that I think is probably one of my favorite features of how we're collaborating together. And that's not only is it making it easy to see what my clients are favoriting and what they're liking that's coming out in the collaboration center, but my last tip that I want to give you is that once they favorite something, I don't want to lose any time. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my phone. And I'm going to go back to our monitor here. And Taylor, since this is my last hop, can you see the Paragon Collaboration Center or context page in Paragon?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, that's my last hop. It's like I said, it's tough hopping back and forward. But what makes the Collaboration Center, I think, the easiest on the agent side is once your client goes in and they start to favorite things. And I remember how I said in the client app, they can hit that heart and it immediately notifies you as the agent. They can even now go in and put in what time they would like to see that property. And that's all well and good, but let's say they just favorited 7 houses. Do you really want to have to go in and schedule 7 different showings and look them up on a map and try to put them in order? It's just way too much work. So my favorite piece of how it brings it together is on the agent side, once they've favorited those properties, and I've gotten those notifications as the agent, it's so easy for me to go right back to my contacts in Paragon. And I just click on number 7 under how many they favorited. This is truly, I think, just what makes it all come together. Now I have those 7 listings that they favorited. So if I want to show all 7 of these, I simply click on them and I'm going to send them all to showing time, but I'm going to do it in a really cool way. So I'm going to click all of these. I'm going to say, I want to send these under actions to showing time. But I don't want to have to schedule these one by one, so I want to create my showing time cart. When do I want to show this property? Well, I'm going to say I'm going to show these properties tomorrow. And I'm going to select that I'm going to show them to Barry Buyer, my buyer here. Instead of having to schedule those one by one and grabbing my phone and figuring out where we're going to start, where we're going to stop, what if I told you you could schedule all of them at one time? So literally by dragging those into my showing time cart, I can see, oh yeah, here is all of the listings. Now I want to take it one step further. I don't want to drive in that order because gas is way too expensive. I'm driving 1 to 2 to 6. That would never work, right? So we're going to click this Smart Route button. That is literally now going to put your showings in the logical driving order. but it does something else. Let's say Taylor's going to run out and show these properties on her lunch hour today. And I can see which ones are go and show, which means I'm immediately going to get the lockbox, versus which one there's going to be appointments required on. So if we're running out last minute to go see these houses, I can even drag and drop them so that the go and show, which I know can immediately be available, and I am immediately going to get that lockbox code. I can actually start off with that one. But I can also see this one is not having showings on that day. So maybe I'm going to go ahead and remove that from my showing list. Now maybe I want to start with this particular go and show. So again, you can literally grab these and drag and drop them in the order that you want to show them. It does give you that helpful smart route to start off. And what I like here is I can see how long it's going to take to get from house A to house B. I can see it's going to be 9 minutes of driving time. So if you're covering a really big area, it's really nice to know how much drive time you need to incorporate so your showing windows are right. So I'm going to say we're going to start showing this particular property from 9:15, let's say 9:15 to 9:30. Now I'm going to go ahead. I know it's only 10 minutes of drive time, so maybe we're going to start about 9:45. And yes, it is going to give you a reminder that due to the NAR MLS practice changes and the NAR lawsuit, you do need a buyer representation agreement. Hopefully I've said that enough on this call. Now I can go in and schedule this for 10 to 10:15 or 10 to 10:30. And this screen will even show you if there's an electronic lockbox like Central Lock. It'll even show you and it will ask you, do you have access to Central Lock? So you'll know that right from this screen. So really easy on the agent side to plug all of those favorites right in so you can start scheduling those properties. Lastly, you can even send your buyers turn-by-turn directions right here at the bottom that will send it right to their phone so that they don't have to keep calling you and saying, hey, Taylor, which one are we going to see first? Hey, Taylor, which is third? Where are we going next? You can actually create turn-by-turn directions for them so it will drive them in that order and they don't have to contact you to see which house is next for each and every showing. So that is a tour of being a mobile agent on the go, being able to pull up properties, being able to stand at the grocery store and set up a search for your client. You can save it right there. And while you're talking to your client, you can even add in your criteria. So they're immediately getting those notifications even before you've made it through the checkout line. So having all of these apps on your phone so that the client can easily search, you're seeing on your side not only your listings, but what your clients are favoriting, and then of course being able to drop them directly into the showing time cart to start that scheduling process brings it all together. So hopefully we've conveyed that, and hopefully it makes your life a little easier. All right, any last questions, Taylor?
No, you did a wonderful job.
All right, well, thank you for being so patient in the transition moments. We are going to be sending out a brief survey asking you what you thought of today's class. So if I did miss any questions or you think of something afterward, please don't hesitate to put that in the survey. And as always, we appreciate all the feedback about our classes. All right, well, thank you, Taylor. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Hope you have a great day and stay dry out there.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Taylor. Thank you.